Brock Purdy. Yesterday, day one of minicamp, he throws 3 picks. It is what it is. Today, he throws no picks. Was today a good day? Was yesterday a bad day? Like, how do you sort of look at the practice interception topic?
You should be, practice is your time to mess up so you don't mess up in the games. That's always maybe that's just the athlete in me growing up. And it's like all coaches in any sport always told me, if I don't see you messing up or taking chances in practice, like I can't trust you to really be a baller out there. Like now's the time for you to learn trial and error.
If you're scared in practice, like that's not, you're going to be scared in game.
If you're over here kind of worried about like, oh, if you're already timid in practice, the safest thing, like when we're not even going, it's 100%, but practice 100% is always different from like, preseason game 100% or a regular season 100%. If you can't do that now, you're just like, I'm not going to feel good about you in the actual game, brother. Like what's going on here? No. So anytime I see the picks or the touchdowns, it's like, yeah, like cool. But because to me, it's like, I feel like none of it's really like 1,000% translate into the regular season games. Like even like, what was it last year, 2 years ago, he was throwing a bunch of picks or something like that. It's like, other than like maybe his late games towards the second half of the season, like that's when the picks start to kick in. Like, I just feel like cool. He's trying something, especially when you're saying right now, like they're trying to really emphasize the deep ball. All right, cool. Like, that's good because then ultimately it's like we're lacking context that you and like the several other people are there at. It's like, okay, like, wow, did he get picked off because Jordan Watkins ran a corner versus a cutback? So that's the thing I care about, like miscommunications, like who are we assessing that to? And then at that point, it's like, all right, is Grant actually assessing this correctly?
Right. Because I don't know. I don't know the people's assignments, the play call, none of that.
Yeah, because like I saw like our Nick Wagner. We both love that guy. So I would say like he said something about like, oh, it looked like maybe that Purdy saw a check down glance and turned away and just forced it just because it's practice. So I mean, it's like, and again, it's like, I don't know. I just, no matter what, I've never like, even when I go to camps, dude, I don't really take too many notes. I'll take certain things that blew my mind. I was like, oh my God, this was a good thing. Like depending on what it was. There's just certain things where it's like this stood out the most, whether it was egregious or really fantastic. Because I don't be jotting down too much. I never do. I like to look on certain things, like whether it's one-on-ones or just like the certain plays, like, hey, these were notable. It's like, oh, you threw a pick, whatever. Like, because there'll be times where like even when we assess after a training camp practice and you're like, all right, Purdy threw 4 picks. I'm like, damn, he did. I only remember 2, or I only jotted down 2. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then once you talk about it, like, yeah, I remember. Like, yeah, those just didn't stick out to me because I was like, yeah, those are just like flimsy ones. So it's just really just. I don't know. It is pretty interesting because you could put that out there. For us, it's definitely good. For you, obviously, because then we could talk about it, contextualize it. That's great content. People can know more. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like, I'm glad he's not. I would say if he went through a whole week's worth of no picks, I'm like, is he just, what is he doing? What is he doing? He's just out there just like coloring in the lines and not trying to get a little crazy, or what's the?
Yeah, I think what you're saying, and like what a lot of fans that support or defend Purdy when he throws a practice pick is like, look, man, it's practice, and what really matters isn't the results in practice, it's the process. So if you're just going to tell me he threw a pick, like, well, why? Was it his fault? Was it the receiver's fault? Was it a good play? Like, you got to give context, and you don't know the play or the coverage, or so I think that's fair. And I think when he does throw picks, if the reporter can give enough context, then you can sort of start to analyze whether the process was good or not. So let's try to do it from yesterday. 3 picks from yesterday. The first one, from what I saw, the number 1 receiver was Watkins running a curl. He wasn't open. So instead of going to number 2 or number 3, Purdy scrambled out of the pocket, locked on Watkins, who ran toward the sideline, and threw to Watkins, who didn't get open, got picked. So you could look at that as like, hey, he's being aggressive. He's giving Watkins a chance. He's seeing if he can trust Watkins. That's all true. Or you could say, all right, super processor, let's see you find your running back in the flat. Where's your tight end? Like, you could say you could go both ways. I don't know.
I think personally, I like that he goes for Watkins because odds are he's probably getting sacked in that play in the first chance. He's not feeling the pressure. So it's like, again, it goes back. It's like 100% in practice. You're not feeling the same thing because it's like, oh, you're not getting sacked. Like, at least go out there and like do something, get a little cute. I mean, what are you gonna do? Just like drop the ball? It's like, oh, I'm just gonna check down because I was sacked anyways. Like, I think at this point we could trust Purdy enough where it's like he should make that right check down call. He didn't do it enough last year. Obviously, that's why he had that high pressure and time to throw. So I think that's where I think Look, I think, and look, that you made that actually started jogging my thought process. Is like, okay, cool. If it turns out, then by like week 6 and 7, he's up there again as the top 10 pressure rate, and and once again, time to throw. Then it's like, well, look, he's practicing. Those practice habits are
Right.
he's just looking and looking and looking. So for right now,
because you practice how you play, right?
But because
that's how I always thought. Yeah.
So it goes back to that. It goes back to last year, because that goes back to why, like, I'm not huge on like saying the offensive line was bad. It's just, look, I'm blaming Purdy, and maybe these practice habits kind of could translate into more of a downer, because it's like, oh, he's just holding on to it. But I think for right now, like, I'm just still cool off it. Let's just see if it continues in camp, where it's like, and it's gonna also kind of matter what Shan's looking at. It's like, hey, I want him to check it down, or I trust him to check it down if it's actual real live game. So do you trust him checking down that real life game? Maybe not, because last year he didn't demonstrate it enough as he should have. But I think that goes in point to he didn't have McCaffrey there. So I just really felt like he put a lot on himself last year. And I think if now maybe with McCaffrey back, and maybe after learning that, it's like, I don't have to put so much on myself, so I don't have to be crazy. But now I can, because I got Watkins out there, I don't got Ayuk, so I need these guys to go out there and be a baller. Because if you're out, if let's say Watkins made that play, made the right adjustment, he throws it. Now it's like, great. Now we're looking at Watkins good. We're not looking at Purdy in any way negative light. We're looking at like, cool. Watkins is out there making plays. He's learning how to freelance a little bit. He's like, okay, cool. Like, Shannon's like, cool. He adjusted. He broke away, and like, because that's how you learn as a young wide receiver. It's not through just like, it's not necessarily always gonna be on Purdy either. So I think in that specific play you mentioned, I don't mind it.
Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code Cohn, COHN, and download the app now. Yeah, and I think he's really established his legs as a threat. Like, he's a scrambling threat. He did that a lot last year, but
he had almost 400 yards.
Yeah, and that's great, man. I love a scrambler. A scramble's a great play, but you know what's a better play? Checking it down to McCaffrey every time, man. Because him running is more dangerous than you running, and you're a good runner, Brock. But he's a great runner, even at 29, coming off what he came off, better than you. So I'd like to see him be a little bit more of a game manager this year. Like, you don't need to be a playmaker, because you're not, man. You have moments. But the thing about Brock that's so interesting to me, and why I do look at the interception, people talk about him like he's Drew Brees. They always say, like, man, it's the processing. He's great at processing. To me, I'm still unconvinced. I think his best attribute is extending plays. Like, that's what separates him from Jimmy. Once you get to the second read, like once you get past 2.5 seconds, I have much more confidence in Brock than I ever had in Jimmy. He can make things happen, but I want to see him make things happen in the first 2 seconds more, because I would imagine covering Drew Brees in practice in a mini camp, there'd be days where he never would scramble. He can if he needed to, but he didn't. It's practice, and he's an elite processor, so he didn't that day. I'd like to see more of that from Brock, and today was a day like that. So I just want to give him credit.
Yeah, and if you did that today, then I think the cool is probably maybe like Shanahan look like, hey, like, good, I know you're making plays, but let's try to like not get too much of a habit into that process where you're just, because sometimes you practice bad habits too. That goes hand in hand. So that's where if you're Shanahan or Mick Lombardi in a sense, it's like, I see what you're doing. Let's try to skew a little towards more of the actual correct way we process things. Because honestly, I can't even tell you if Purdy is a bad or a good processor. I just know, like you said, like, if Jimmy didn't have that first option open, he was screwed. That's when he starts getting into happy feet like a penguin, like that movie. And then you get Purdy. It's like, okay, I could trust him going to 2 to 3. Yeah, you could trust him because he's like,
I could trust him outside the pocket.
And he doesn't even, and even if he does stay in there, he doesn't get frantic. He doesn't get all scared. Like, that's the one thing to me. I think his best trait has always been mental toughness. Last year, kind of like, I feel like kind of wavered. I feel like his mental toughness broke in terms of without McCaffrey and maybe even certain players. It's like all of a sudden, if you were mentally tough, you'd be like, nothing has to really dramatically change, and I feel like he dramatically changed. So I think if you just get him a little more, like, I don't know. I think as long as you find the fine balance, you don't go too teeter-totter on one way and the other, especially consistently, then we're good. Like yesterday, you said it was kind of bad. Today, it's like, okay, went back more to the process. And maybe that's because today was the last practice. So you leave off on that note, like, okay, we left him off on what we want, not versus what we want him to try.
And look, with Brock, he's really good, and he just got paid. Maybe you guys aren't aware of this, and maybe it's just a box score statistical quirk, but every year he's been in the league, his interception percentage has gone up. It was 2.4 in 2022, it was 2.5 in 2023, and it was 2.6 last year. Every year he's been in the league, his touchdown percentage has gone down. So it'd be nice to see him like reverse that trend and show that that's just numbers and that he really is a really good quarterback. And again, I love the extending plays. I love the scrambling, but he's supposed to be Drew Brees. That's what they signed up for. You're supposed to be the processor. So let's see a little bit more of that. Yeah, you can extend plays, but you should be able to dominate quickly from the pocket. That's part of your game too. Got to develop that in practice, and you did today.